We've got to make some picks coming up here on the roundtable for the Memorial Tournament to help you with your bets. But before we do that, we got to celebrate a victory of our own. Ben Griffin, the winner last week at the Charles Schwab Challenge. Hey, we tried to tell you. Is our consensus long shot and why we love Ben Griffin at 65-1.
I feel like I should be putting on some sunglasses here if we're going to talk about Ben Griffin.
All right, well, I know the whole thing with blind squirrels, nuts, yada, yada, whatever you want to say, but I think the one thing we got to tell the viewers this week that our stats matter, and we got to keep picking them some winners, my friend.
You can't win them all unless you win that first one, and we're starting a new streak here in the middle of the season. Shout out to Ben Griffin, getting it done in a big way at Colonial. And you're right, Chris. Every now and then the stars align, and if both of us are on the same page, maybe viewers and fans can look out for that next time around too.
You can't win them all, but you can certainly lose them all. Our goal is to help you not lose them all. Let's start this week with Scottie Scheffler at the top of this ridiculous odds board. We know that Rory's not in the field. That's why you see the vast difference between Scheffler and Xander Schauffele, number 2, at 16-1 with Collin Morikawa. I think this sets up a little bit of a nice conversation to have with the viewer about this fatigue that all of us have on this Scheffler number versus the field, because I feel one way about this, and I know you and some others may feel a different way about it. If you're going to pick one winner, I understand wanting to get your bang for your buck and getting a better juice, so to speak. I'm of the opinion that when I look at this board, Will, I see Scheffler's odds and his name staring me in the face, and I go down the list and I say to myself, do I really believe this guy can beat Scheffler? Do I really believe this guy can beat Scheffler? And I can't pull that trigger. I got to go with Scottie Scheffler and not worry about the odds. So where do you sit on that to kind of give the viewer an idea of maybe taking some solace in these ridiculous numbers?
How confident were you on Wednesday that Ben Griffin was going to beat Scottie Scheffler?
I wasn't. You're right.
Right? So it happens. And yes, Scheffler. Okay, so over the last 3 events, Scottie Scheffler's been beaten by 3 people.
Right.
Like, it's not like he's playing poorly. He didn't miss the cut last week, although he did come a little close on Friday. I just think that you have to look at it from a numbers perspective. I feel like if you're going to bet Scottie Scheffler, that's the only bet that you can make in the outright market because of the return. And otherwise, you're taking potential wins and you're hedging against yourself essentially by having him along with 3 or 4 other people in the outright market. I think there are a lot of other options on the table. You can look at the without Scheffler market, which is becoming a more robust option, especially these last couple of weeks. And you go back to the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, where he was really a standalone star and went wire to wire at that point. But there are other ways to bet him, and I do think that you can look at the flip side and say it's creating value by having Scheffler with his thumb on the scale from the odds perspective. Last week, Ben Griffin, we saw him at 6,500. He's probably 5,000 or maybe 4,500 in a Scottie Scheffler-less field. So sometimes it's going to drive up that value. It's interesting looking back at that odds board that we saw of those top 5. Only 2 of those other 4 guys have won this year. I think everyone's waiting on Morikawa, Xander, Patrick Cantlay. When are they going to start running off a couple of victories? And that would potentially help to balance things out. But right now, as we saw last week, Scheffler is going to be a very short favorite. I would expect next week in Canada, Rory McIlroy is going to be the very short favorite. And then we get to the U.S. Open and things kind of balance out a little bit. But I don't think that this is something where I feel obligated to bet Scottie Scheffler, even though he's won 2 out of his last 3 events, because things can happen. And this is an elite field, a signature event. A lot of star caliber players are in the mix. And so now there are other variables in play, and yet Scottie Scheffler's number is still sitting down there below plus 300.
So before we move on, let me throw this at you. So yes, you're right. Griffin beats him. Nobody saw it coming. But okay, let's say Scheffler won. He's won 2 of his last 6. That's 1 out of 3, right? Well, his odds are basically 3-1 to win this week, just like they are every other week that Rory's not in the field. I am of the opinion that I would rather take the bet on Scheffler knowing he's probably going to win 1 out of 3 when I've got to pick one winner out of a field of 70 or 140 and not have that great a confidence in my chances is my point to you.
Right, but if we're game planning the Scheffler idea and say, all right, I'm going to bet him for 3 events, assuming he's going to win 1 at plus 280, you're essentially breaking even, or they're close to it. Or you can go out and you can look into the land of the other 71 players this week, where maybe there's someone at plus 5,000, or like Ben Griffin last week at plus 6,500. Even some of these guys right here, like Justin Thomas, Ludwig Åberg, Patrick Cantlay, roughly in that 20-1 range, where all you need to do is hit one of them. And even if you take a couple of bites at the apple, you could average it out to where, depending on how you're rationing your units, you could end up plus 6, plus 7, plus 8 over a 3-week span, versus if I'm just taking Scottie as a one and done, essentially in the outright market, best case scenario, even if he wins 1 out of 3, I'm basically treading water.
Okay, so you're looking at it from the standpoint of where is your money going to be made and how many times does Scheffler have to win for you not to be in the red? And I'm looking at it as I can't pull the trigger because you don't know who can actually beat him. That's fair enough to say, right?
Got to go for that high ceiling option, Chris. There's units to be won out here.
All right, so we want to do something here. If we're going to call it a dilemma, our DraftKings segment this week, if you have a dilemma betting Scottie Scheffler, let's just look at it in context. If Scheffler's plus 280 to win, let's look at some other players, some other stars on tour who are 280 around there in their respective prop place market. So we've got 3 here that are pretty similar as we could get with a Scottie Scheffler victory at plus 280. We got Collin Morikawa for a top 5, Hideki Matsuyama for a top 10, and Justin Rose for a top 20. Here's where we differ. I am on the fence. I have no idea if I believe one of these in that place is better odds than Scheffler winning the tournament at plus 280. You're telling me you would take all 3 of these bets? Take away the numbers. You think all 3 of these happen over Scheffler winning?
I am bulldozing the fence. Just tear it down. We are rolling right through. I love all 3 of these over Scottie Scheffler at plus 280 to win. Morikawa, twice a runner-up at this event, still one of the best iron players in the game. Do I have a ton of faith in him winning? No, not so much, but top 5 for sure. And again, it's on a course where he won the Workday Charity Open in 2020. So there's a lot of really good course history at Muirfield Village. Justin Rose, Hideki Matsuyama, both former champions at the Memorial. Rose also lost in the playoff. The guy just lost in the playoff at the Masters, last month. And this is, a place where he has a lot of great memories. 72-man field, small cut. I only need him to beat. We're back into quartile mode here, Chris. Remember,
That's right.
You only got to get into that top 25% essentially. And Matsuyama, yes, he's cooled down from that win at the Century, but he's still a great ball striker. This is not a course where you have to be a great putter. We've seen players, including Hideki, who have overcome a traditionally iffy putter with some really great iron play and ball striking. So plus 280 on a top 10 for Hideki on a place where he's got multiple top 10s, T5, T6, in addition to that win back in 2014. I'll take all 3, and I think I'm going to get the clean sweep while you're waiting for Scottie Scheffler to win the tournament.
Let me tell you why I'm on the fence. I truly do not believe which is the right one, because let's start with Collin Morikawa. You say 2 top 5s here in the last 3 starts. Well, guess what? Scheffler's won 2 of his last 3 starts. Okay,
but runner-ups. It's not just
no,
top 5. The guy almost won the golf tournament.
I know, but it's still top.
He won another golf tournament.
It's the market. It's the market. He was in the top 5 twice in the last 3 years. Scheffler's won 2 of his last 3. To me, statistically, that's a wash.
Okay, but I'm getting 50 points.
You're right.
You're 30 over 2.
I know.
I like that.
You're right about that. Okay, Hideki Matsuyama. You were the first one to say fade Hideki. I know it was Rio over Hideki last week because of various things, but I'm not confident that Hideki's injuries aren't hurting him more than we think. His game's not what it was 3 months ago. I know the quartile rule here. I have no faith in Hideki Matsuyama right now for anything, let alone a top 10. Scheffler, I know, has to beat 75 other players. I know that, but I am iffy on Hideki. And Justin Rose was darn near last place at Truist a few weeks ago. I know he could pull a Masters, but the Masters is his place. We know Augusta, he has affinity for it. I don't have any faith in Justin Rose for a top 20. So I look at Scheffler as a winner. Yeah, he's got to do really well, and the odds are against him statistically, but I truly do not believe which one of these I believe.
You just need to have a little more faith here, Chris. That's what we're boiling it down to. Yes, Justin Rose, he played poorly at Truist, but let me run you back. He's missed the cut the last couple of years at Memorial, but before that, 8th, T8, missed cut, 2nd, T6, 13th. This is a place where he traditionally just really tends to play well. Hideki Matsuyama, similar, T16 2 years ago, T8 last year. He's got a 5th, a 6th. These are places where both of these guys tend to play well. And I don't need them to win the tournament. I don't need them to be in the final group on Sunday. We're talking about a top 10 and a top 20 for established players, veterans, major champions out of 72 guys on a course that they know and love. I really like those markets, despite the fact you're trying to throw it.
We played the Ben Griffin clip at the top of this show. One of us is going to be right next Tuesday, so that's the positive here. Perhaps we can play a clip next week. You're probably going to be right because, I agree. Scheffler winning 2 out of 3 is not feasible. I can't. It's a mental block. It's my own problem. I got to work through it. Let's pick some winners, so to speak, in some markets for the people out there. Let's start with best bets. We'll both do a top 10. I love Denny McCarthy as a long shot to win. You like him top 10?
Yeah, former runner-up, lost in the playoff here to Victor Hovland 2 years ago, and is quietly having a really good year. I mean, he has not missed a cut, 7 top 25s in 13 starts, just finished T8 at the PGA Championship. We know him as the best putter on tour. I know, Chris, you were up there at the Truist and talking to guys all about like what aspects of different players' games they want. Everyone wants to putt like Denny McCarthy. Denny McCarthy wants to win like a lot of other players. So still in search of that first win, is probably a little overdue at this point. We're not quite in the Tommy Fleetwood zone, but we're heading in that direction. I do think, though, at plus 360 is a great number on a course where he, again, was so close to victory 2 years ago, played well last year, T5. So I think that things are trending in the right direction for him overall this year. He's still flying under the radar, but this is a really juicy price for a top 10 on Denny.
Yeah, I'm high on Denny right now. My problem is going to be if we get to next year or 2 years from now, is he truly in that Tommy Fleetwood mode? Because that's when you start to worry about somebody's psyche. But I agree. Plus 360 for a top 10 sounds great to me. I like plus.
You don't have to worry about the psyche, Chris, in the top 10 market. It's just fine.
You're not. Fine. Yeah, no. I'm talking about a long shot for a winner.
Yes.
Right. For Daniel Berger, similar odds, plus 320 for a top 10. Again, don't need the psyche, even though he's proven he knows how to win, even if it was a long time ago. This is my stats play, Will. This guy, we know we got to be great off the tee, strokes gained off the tee from key stats, hitting the green, approaching the green. This guy is awesome. This year, sneaky good strokes gained off the tee. He is 12th in approach. He is top 10 off the tee, and he has continued to prove that he is in the thick of it. His 3 signature events so far this year, T11, T3, and T15. So I look at a top 10 for a guy who's got confidence. Sign me up for that.
And Daniel Berger was absolutely off the map at Muirfield Village the first 3 times he came around, and the last time he was here back in 2022, T5. So there's just a little bit that he can build off of. I know it's been a while since he's been at Jack's Place. Maybe he doesn't know the rotation on the milkshakes like he used to, but there's something to believe in there for sure.
All right, this guy is the ultimate psyche to me of don't need him to win. We're in the top 20s now. Siwoo Kim for a top 20 at plus 130 looks awesome to me. I'm just looking at his recent play here at Muirfield, and I think this course kind of is a indicator if it fits your eye. It's so unique. It's hard to drive. You got to gain strokes off the tee. His finishes here: T15, 4th, T13, T9, and T18. His last 5 finishes, all of them inside that top 20 range that I have mentioned for plus 130. And he's in form here too, Will. He's got 4 top 20s in his last 5 individual events this year alone.
When I think of Siwoo, I think back to the Masters. We were going deep in that field breakdown, and both of us kind of realized Siwoo Kim is not in the Masters field. And that was the first time in a long time that he was not teeing it up at Augusta National. And since then, he started to play like a guy that really wants to get back down Magnolia Lane. That form is coming around, as you said. The long putter is starting to work. Still some variance, right? Whenever we're talking about Siwoo, it's never really going to be a super consistent, plot of data. There's going to be a few head scratchers on both sides of things when it comes to Siwoo. But this is definitely shaping up like a summer where maybe this is a buy on Siwoo Kim situation as those numbers, especially in those secondary markets, tend to pop up. Plus 130 on a top 20 there. You have my attention for sure.
That is the ultimate quartile for sure. Do you remember last week we were doing the debate of the 4 players we would pick with Scheffler to do a parlay for a top 10? And we were looking at the very end of the list. And the guy on there, we said Bud Cauley. He was in it. He was top 5.
Yeah, he was right there, and I believe that was your horse in that top 10 parlay. Not to pat yourself on the back there, but this is coming a full circle moment here for Bud Cauley. The car accident that essentially derailed his career a couple years back happened at the Memorial. It was before the tournament started. Now he's back in the field off that Aon Swing 5. Played well enough last week at Colonial to get back in. He has 4 finishes inside the top 6 this year, dating back to the Players. So is having a super resurgent season in his career. Still looking for that first win, but man, this is going to be a full circle moment. Sitting there to potentially get back in the mix on a course and a place that it's probably a little bittersweet going back and thinking about where he was back in 2018, 2019 versus where he's at today in 2025.
I think you may have found a glitch in the system here of the book, because plus 260 for a top 20 looks really good.
Try and capitalize on those glitches when they come up, Chris.
And you know what? You may have found another glitch with the winners, because I do not understand this number on your winner.
What are we doing? This goes back to the Scottie Scheffler debate, right? If he's sitting at plus 280, everyone else's number has to go up. So Sepp Straka, who should be, I don't know, plus 3,000 or 3,500, is sitting there at plus 4,500 at FanDuel this week. The guy's won twice. He is the second on tour this season in strokes gained approach. Just won a signature event at Philly Cricket Club at the Truist. What if he's just a signature event guy now, right? What if he just runs the board and takes another one and gets win number 3 this week? I mean, this is clearly a career year for the Austrian. I know he was on the Ryder Cup for Team Europe back in 2023. It feels like he's a lock for Bethpage at this point, but plus 4,500, again, a limited field, and everything about Muirfield Village screams ball striker and strokes gained approach to me. You got to be able to avoid the rough. You've got to be able to attack from the right position into these greens. They're going to be fast. The rough's going to be thick. And Sepp Straka, his strengths really seem to translate well into what Muirfield Village has to offer. And he's trended well here over his last 2 starts, including at T6 last time around. He's a different player than he was a year ago, and he was even playing well here last year.
He's a different player than he was 4 months ago, too. I mean, this number would have made sense after his first win 4 months ago. After he wins a couple of weeks ago, this number, to me, it could be cut in half. I mean, you say plus 3,000. I think he should be top 6, top 7 on this board right now. So that number is awesome. I think the number on Xander Schauffele is a number we need to capitalize on now, because I think this guy is closer to the level he wants than the critics who want to say he's not back are saying. Because you look at all of Xander's results, no, he has not been on the first page. His weekends have been better than his weekdays. His scoring average Saturday and Sunday has been good, which means he's chasing, and he's backdooring these top 10s and top 20s, so to speak. However, he's not playing that poorly. When we're talking about Xander being off his game, it's like, oh, is he missing cuts? No. Is he shooting 76, 77? No. He's just that far off on being that next level Xander that we saw last year. And I think he's closer to that right now than he was certainly a month ago. And I feel like he's gaining and gaining and gaining, and the odds are not showing it. So I want to capitalize on that now at a place that values tee to green the way it does.
This is another odds exercise for me, right? So let's game plan out the next 15 events. What's going to make you more money? Betting on Xander, flat bet every week, assuming he's going to win once, or betting that money on Scottie Scheffler at plus 300 or whatever, and needing him to win, 3 times to essentially cash out your money?
This is where you prove your point.
What's more likely to happen over the next couple of months?
We know that.
Xander
We know it's
once,
this. We know it's
or
this.
Scottie to win 3 times. I think it's Xander, right? Yeah. Yes, Scottie's going to pick off a few more, but I agree with you. Xander is close. I was on him at the PGA, so it was a little bit disappointed, a little bit gun shy now going back to the well. But as we head into the summer, he has that title defense at the Open at Royal Portrush to handle as well. I mean, this guy's going to get one soon. He's not playing poor golf. The rib injury does not appear to be as big of an issue for him now, and you're really just down to fine-tuning some of the other elements of his game, and I do think another win's going to be here soon.
I do think it's the Rory and Scottie effect. They're winning multiple times, and they're winning big. Because Schauffele's not winning at all, we're seeing these numbers low, number one. Right. And number two, people are just assuming that he's off his game because these other 2 superstars are so on their game. Oh, what's wrong with Xander? Nothing's wrong with Xander. This guy just had to come back from those injuries, and he's doing it. And that plus 1,600, I think, is going to be under 1,000 at some point because the guy is going to win again. We know that's going to be the case. We have a big week this week on the PGA Tour because ESPN Bet is back on PGA Tour Live.
What a yeah, good birdie there, right on call.
4 times this year, Will, my friend, and you're going to be on there on the call with Rick Gaiman, our friend who is back there with us from the Truist Week. Bet on golf in a unique environment at the Memorial Tournament this week. It's going to be so much fun.
Yes, we are running it back from the studio here. We've got our friends down on the couch with Jonathan Coachman is going to be running point, running it back with Rick Gaiman. As you said, I'll be upstairs with him in our special bet studio. But there you see Thursday to Saturday, we're going noon to 2. Sunday, we're bumping it up 11 to 1. It's going to be great. I love getting into these, really getting into the weeds, kind of a graduate level course for bettors around some of these bigger events. This is the 4th one we've done this year, so 2 more to go at Travelers and FedEx St. Jude. So it's going to be a busy summer. We're looking forward to it.
Do me a favor, get Rick's opinion on the Scottie Scheffler debate we had.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it. No, come on.